This is Polynomial Inequalities on a TI-89 calculator. This is my website, www.mathdeals.com, where you can find more links to YouTube videos on mathematics. There's a Graphing Calculators link. If I click that, then go into College Algebra. You can see all the different topics you can do in College Algebra with either directly with the Graphing Calculator or with the aid of it. And this is also a list of all the calculators. And I'm trying to go through and create these videos for every one of them slowly. If you just need more help in a particular topic, you can go to Math Lectures. And for example, go to College Algebra, and then click whichever particular topic you're having trouble with. Like if you want to know more about linear inequalities, you watch this YouTube video. Now these are full lectures. These are the exact same ones I give in the classroom, same explanations, same examples, so forth. Okay, polynomial inequalities. So solving polynomial inequalities. Step 1, get everything on the left side, 0 on the right side. Step 2, factor the left side, set each factor equal to 0, and solve. These are critical values. And note, you may have to use the quadratic formula. Every once in a while you see a problem thrown in where you can't factor it, and you have to use the quadratic formula to find those critical values. Step 3, using the x-axis, the critical values, and a graph, then determine the answer. If we got less than or equal to, then your answer is below the x-axis. If you got a greater than or equal to, your answer is above the x-axis. If you got less than or greater than, you're going to use parentheses. If you got less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, then you're going to use brackets. Okay, let's take a look at our first problem. And I'll bring up my tablet. I already had it up. So we got x squared plus 4x minus 5 is less than 0. Okay, first step, get everything on the left side, 0 on the right side. That's done. Step 2, factor the left side. This factor is using the PSD method. Then factors as x plus 5 times x minus 1, less than 0. It then says set each factor equal to 0. So we got x plus 5 equal to 0, and x minus 1 equal to 0. And solve. So here I'll take the 5 over, becomes a negative 5. Here I'll take the negative 1 over, becomes a positive 1. Those are our critical values. Step 3. Using the x-axis, critical values. Our critical values are negative 5 and 1. You want to put your smallest critical value on the left side and your largest critical value on the right side. Now what these do is they create intervals. So these break them into intervals. Clear over here is negative infinity. Clear over here is positive infinity. So this first interval is from negative infinity to negative 5. This next one is from negative 5 to 1. And this last one is from 1 to positive infinity. And the graph. So let's graph this and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go to my y equals. So do diamond F1. If I have something on y1, I'll highlight it and press clear. I just up arrow to highlight it. Okay, then I want x squared, so I do my x key caret 2 plus 4x minus 5, and then I'm going to press enter to save it. And then I want to graph it, so I do diamond F3. Now you're going to notice that your graph crosses the x-axis. It can also touch. It doesn't have to just cross. But you notice in this case it crosses at our critical values, -5 and 1. So let me sketch my graph on here. Doesn't have to be precise in any sense. Actually, in some cases it's a little bit better if you're not precise. As weird as that seems. Okay. Using x-axis critical values and the graph, then determine the answer. This is a less than, and for less than, we say our answer is below the x-axis. What do we mean by that? Is we're looking where our graph is below the x-axis. Well, it's below right here. So this is going to be our answer. And this interval is from -5 to 1. Now, less than says, down here it says we're going to use parentheses, which means we put parentheses around these. If that had been a less than or equal to, less than or equal to would have said we use brackets, I would have put brackets around these. Anyway, that's our answer. Let's take a look at our second example. We've got x to the third plus 7x squared minus 4x minus 28 is less than 0. Okay, first step, get everything on the left side, 0 on the right side. Normal cases, it doesn't matter which side you take things to, but these last three conditions here, these are based upon the 0 being on the right side. Okay, step 2, factor the left side. Well, this is going to factor using grouping. So we'll group first two terms together, we'll group last two terms together. First two terms have an x squared in common, so I factor that out, and that gives me x plus 7. Last two terms have a -4. I factor that out, and that gives me x plus 7. Now remember, the goal with grouping is to get this parentheses the same as this, which they are. So I factor out an x plus 7, and that leaves us x squared minus 4. Still not done with factoring. X squared minus 4, two terms with the minus in it, is dots. Difference two squares. So this becomes x plus 7 times x plus 2 times x minus 2, less than 0. Okay, we just factored left side. Now we're going to set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So we'll set the x plus 7 equal to 0, we'll set x plus 2 is equal to 0, and we'll set the x minus 2 equal to 0. And that gives us -7, -2, and +2. Step 3. Using our x-axis, which would be this right here, our critical values, and our smallest critical value is -7, so we have to put that first. Our next one is -2, and then our last one is +2. Again, these have to go from smallest to largest. Now remember, these split them up into intervals. So put the lines here. Clear over here is -infinity. Clear over here is +infinity. You notice I haven't tried to be exact in my graphing here. Difference between -7 and -2 and -2 and 2. Actually, they're pretty close a distance, aren't they? But anyway, I wouldn't care about that anyway, because I'm just trying to get a general idea. All I'm looking for is above and below. Okay, well, we need to graph this. And we're going to graph our original polynomial up here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my y equals, diamond F1, highlight, I did an up arrow, highlight y1, press clear. And we have x to the third, so x caret 3, plus 7x squared, so x caret 2, minus 4x, minus 28. Press enter, and now I'm going to graph it. So I'll do diamond F3. Okay, here's -7, here's -2, and here's +2. And you can kind of see the shape of it. It's coming up here, passing through -7, coming up here, turning back around somewhere, coming back down, crossing through there, coming down here, reaching a low point, turning around, come back up like that. So if I were to sketch this, oops, looks something like this right here. Again, do not spend any kind of time trying to make this exact. You're trying to get the general idea so you can determine above and below. Okay, less than. Less than says our answer is below the x-axis. Well, it's below the x-axis here. It's also below the x-axis here. This interval here is -∞ to -7, and this interval is -2 to +2. Infinities always have parentheses on them. Now here we have a less than. Less than tells us we're going to use parentheses, which means I'll put parentheses around these numbers here. And if you got two or more intervals, you connect them with union symbols. And that would be our answer. And that's solving polynomial inequalities with the help of a TI-89. Doesn't do everything exactly. Now there are ways you can type in the first one, and it looks like it's even easier than this, where it just gives the answer direct, but it doesn't work well. There's some flaws with it. To exit out, we'll do second escape.